The silence that watches. The room was never meant to hold a man for so long. Its walls, faded with peeling wallpaper that once had delicate floral patterns, now seemed like the veins of some decaying creature. They breathed with every sigh of the wind outside, and yet no window in the bedroom had been open for years. He sat there, alone, on a crooked wooden chair beside the bed that groaned when he leaned his weight against it. The man's name was Adrian. Once, he had lived with noise, with laughter, with the chatter of neighbors seeping through the walls, but now only silence ruled the room. Silence, and the faint hum of something he could never quite locate. The bedroom was his prison, his refuge, his curse. The cracked ceiling had stains shaped like shadows, as though someone had pressed wet hands against it. A light bulb dangled from a frayed wire, its glow weak, always threatening to extinguish, but never truly going out. He didn't dare change it. He believed, no, he knew, that once the light went dark, the bedroom would reveal what truly lived inside it. Every night, the same routine. Adrian would sit at the edge of the bed, his hands clasped, his breath shallow, his eyes fixed on the door. It was locked, of course, but he wasn't afraid of anyone coming in. No, what haunted him was the idea of something leaving, something that had always been in the room, waiting, watching. He first noticed it years ago, when whispers crawled from the corners of the bedroom. At first, he thought it was his mind, lonely thoughts given voices. But whispers don't breathe. Whispers don't move the air across your neck like a cold hand sliding across your skin. And whispers certainly don't laugh. The laugh had been the beginning of his unraveling. A faint chuckle at 3 a.m, low, playful, almost mocking. It came from beneath the bed. The first night it happened, Adrian froze, unable to move, unable even to scream. When dawn came, he checked, of course, peering under the bed, his heart pounding. But there had been nothing. Only dust, only shadows. But the laugh came back the next night. And the next. He tried to move out once, packed a small bag, gripped the rusted handle of the door, and twisted, but the lock had refused to open. He had kicked it, screamed at it, begged it. The handle had shaken in his hand, but it never released him. It was as though the bedroom had sealed itself, claiming him as its own. Adrian learned to live with it. Days blurred into nights, nights blurred into terror. He stopped counting time. He stopped counting meals. The only thing that mattered was a rhythm of survival. Stay awake until dawn, rest when the light pushed the shadows back. But the bedroom was patient. The bedroom wanted more. It began with a mirror, a small, cracked piece of glass hanging crooked on the wall, a relic left by someone before him. For years, it only showed his reflection, hollow eyes, thinning hair, a man with more wrinkles than years. But one night, when the light bulb flickered, the reflection didn't flicker with it. The mirror showed a man standing tall, clean, smiling, a version of himself that hadn't existed in decades. He leaned closer, trembling, his breath fogging the glass. And then the reflection's lips moved. "You belong here." Adrian stumbled back, knocking the chair over, gasping for air. The voice wasn't his. It was deeper, thicker, filled with a hunger that crawled into his chest and made his heart ache. The reflection smiled wider. And though Adrian turned away, covered the mirror with a ragged sheet, the voice lingered in his mind. "You belong here. Forever." The bedroom's whispers grew bolder after that. Sometimes they came from the wardrobe, scraping sounds, like nails dragging across wood. Sometimes they came from the ceiling, the soft patter of feet pacing overhead, though there was no upstairs, no second floor. And sometimes they came from the bed itself, a sigh when he lay down, a handprint pressed into the mattress beside him, a presence that shifted the sheets ever so slightly, as if something invisible shared the bed with him. He tried not to speak to it. He tried not to answer the questions that the whispers began asking. Are you afraid? Do you miss them? Would you like to see them again? His family, long gone, lost to time, perhaps even forgotten. And yet, the voice knew. The bedroom always knew. One night, he woke to find the sheet had been pulled from his body, slowly sliding across the floor, disappearing into the shadows under the bed. He didn't dare pull it back. He sat there, shivering, staring at the blackness beneath the bed frame until the sun rose and the sheet was gone. The next night, the sheet returned, folded neatly on the bed, smelling faintly of earth and decay. Adrian began to hear breathing that wasn't his. At first, it was faint, matching his rhythm, as though mocking him. But soon, it grew louder, raspy, until it filled the room with every inhale and exhale. Sometimes, it came from behind him. Sometimes, from inside the wardrobe. And once, just once, from inside his own chest. He began talking to himself aloud, just to drown out the whispers. Long monologues of nothing, muttering about the cracks in the ceiling, about the dust on the floor, about memories he could barely recall. Anything to cover the silence that followed the laughter. But the bedroom was clever. It listened. It learned. And soon, it spoke back. The room that devours. Adrian woke to the sound of his own voice. Not a dream, not a half-memory. His own voice, speaking from the corner of the bedroom. He froze, sitting up in bed, his skin prickling with sweat. Cracks in the ceiling, the voice said, mimicking the words he had spoken days ago. Dust on the floor, the memories fading. He turned slowly. The corner was dark, darker than any shadow should be, as though the light bulb refused to shine there. And within that darkness, something stirred. It wasn't him. It wasn't human. It was a room itself, wearing his voice like a mask. Adrian pressed his hands over his ears, rocking back and forth, but the voice only grew louder. Louder until it wasn't coming from the corner at all. It was coming from inside his head. Stay. Stay forever. He screamed. His voice echoed off the walls, but the room swallowed it, muffled it, devoured it. No one outside would hear. No one ever had. That night, he didn't sleep. He sat in the chair, staring at the wardrobe. The door was cracked open, just an inch, just enough to show darkness inside. And he swore, no, he knew there were eyes staring back. Pale, unblinking eyes that gleamed like wet glass. He closed his eyes, refusing to look. When he opened them again, the wardrobe door was wider. Another night, he awoke to find the mirror uncovered. He hadn't touched it. He hadn't dared. And yet, there it was, reflecting him. Except, it wasn't him. The reflection was smiling, wide and wrong, its mouth stretched too far. And beside it, in the reflection, was another figure. A tall, thin shadow with no face, no features, just endless blackness. It stood at his shoulder, though when he turned, nothing was there. The reflection leaned close to the glass, its lips twisting into a whisper. Sleep. The bulb flickered. The wardrobe creaked. The bed shifted, sagging beneath invisible weight. And Adrian felt the cold hand of something unseen slide across his chest. He couldn't move. He couldn't breathe. The room pressed down on him, smothering him with its presence. The whispers grew louder, overlapping, hundreds of voices now, all clawing at his mind, all screaming the same thing. Stay! His heart thundered, his vision blurred, and for a moment he thought he would die. Perhaps that would have been mercy. But dawn came, pale light spilling across the floor, and the voices stopped. He lay there, trembling, eyes burning, body aching. He knew the truth now. The bedroom would never let him leave. Days turned to weeks, weeks into years. Time no longer mattered. He was a prisoner, a companion, a plaything for the hunger that lived within the walls. Sometimes he thought he saw shapes in the wallpaper, faces pressing through, mouths stretched open in silent screams. Sometimes he thought he heard names whispered, his family's names, his neighbors' names he had forgotten. The room collected them. It devoured them. And Adrian knew, deep down, that one day his name would be whispered too. The final night came without warning. The light bulb finally died, leaving him in complete darkness. He lit a candle, but the flame sputtered, struggling against the air. The shadows pressed close, suffocating, alive. The wardrobe burst open, not with sound, but with silence, an impossible, crushing silence that ate even the sound of his heartbeat. From it crawled a figure, tall and thin, faceless, dripping with shadow. Its hands reached out, long and sharp, wrapping around his shoulders. The mirror rattled, the reflection laughing now, wide-mouthed and endless. The bed sank, deep as though pulling him into the earth. And Adrian screamed. He screamed until his throat tore, until his body convulsed, until the candle died and the room consumed him whole. When silence returned, the bedroom was empty, but the chair rocked slightly, as if someone had just stood. The sheet on the bed shifted, as though something invisible had lain down to rest. And in the mirror, a new face appeared. Adrian's face, smiling, waiting,